All right, I am back, and I'm here with a pretty decently big story, I would say. It has been about 3 weeks since the conclusion of Worlds in Singapore after all the gastrointestinal issues in Singapore, and despite that, there was still some success from Team USA despite the illness. For example, Jack Alexi, he had a really great meet, is arguably in contention with Luca Orlando. Speaking of him, had a good meet himself for Male Swimmer of the Year. Patrick Salmon was one of the best consistent relay swimmers for Team USA as well. He split 46.7 on the mixed freestyle relay that helped break the world record. Luke Hobson, he had a great 200 freestyle and an even greater 200 free relay split. Shane Casas, he had the third fastest American ever in the 200 IM now, 154. Bobby Fink having a great mile after having a rough 800, and he was also supposedly sick. Dari Rose had a really good 100 fly split on the medley relay, 50.1. Gretchen Walsh, she had a great 100 fly, struggled with some sickness throughout the meet, but ultimately rebounded for the 50 fly as well, had a solid meet herself. Tori Husk had a really rough start to the meet and then was able to build back into it. Claire Curzon, she had a great 200 backstroke. Kate Douglas had a great meet all around, is one of the best female swimmers for Team USA at this meet. And then Katie Ledecky, who learned from 2019 not to get sick before the meet and was able to defend her world title from a really great 800 free race between her, Lonnie Pollister, and Summer McIntosh. And that's a whole nother video. And with World Juniors just starting a few days ago, we have a situation to break down and discuss. So, partway through the meet, Ryan Lochte shared a meme on his Instagram story depicting the death of USA Swimming after the men had another rough session. And along with this, Michael Phelps shared this meme on his own Instagram story, which received some backlash from current national teamers who were actively racing in the meet. Lily King, who responded with her own Instagram story saying, "Y'all been real quiet tonight." Bobby Fink, who made some comments to the media, as well as Jack Alexi, who made some comments to the media, but didn't really push that much attention onto that. But these comments from Lily King actually led to swimming goat Michael Phelps commenting under Lily King's comments, originally criticizing the leadership of USA Swimming, which was not the most organized response, but it did get his message out there. Next, both on live air and on social media, the Voice of Swimming, Rowdy Gaines, also supported Michael and Ryan's message, reiterating their comments with a few comments of his own, but not without a little controversy there too. If you want to read the full statement, which I put up on here, I will also leave links to all these things, as well as, if you need to, pause the video to read through all the statements there. But all this back and forth with Rowdy, Michael, and Ryan calling out USA Swimming led to a statement from the interim CEO of the company, Bob Vincent, responding to the comments of Michael, Ryan, and Rowdy, saying this: "We respect and value the opinions of Rowdy, Michael, Ryan, and all USA Swimming alums. We acknowledge that their comments come from a place of passion, genuine desire to see USA Swimming succeed. We are saddened and disappointed at the timing of the comments. The USA Swimming team battled severe illness in Singapore, and these comments added public scrutiny to an already challenging situation for our athletes and coaches. We are incredibly proud of the resilience of our team in the face of such difficult circumstances and remain confident in the leadership, strategic direction, and culture established by newly appointed National Team Managing Director Greg Meehan. USA Swimming has reached out directly to Rowdy and other notable alums in recent months, offering them a forum, including an invitation to join in a more official manner. The door remains open, as the only path forward for our sport is to work collectively to achieve a shared vision and success. We remain focused on the task at hand, winning LA 2028. Now, all this led to a whole nother statement from Michael, which he said two separate parts to this. It wasn't really organized, but he said this as well. How come the message isn't anywhere else? Interim CEO makes a statement, yet no media outlets pick it up, and then responds to another post from the Big Friendly Swim podcast. Maybe a false statement because they didn't reach out to Rowdy. They showed us out the door for years, treating me like a piece of meat through my career. Hopefully it changes someday. So yeah, again, not really the most organized statement, but this led to now Michael making probably his biggest statement and ultimately his most formal statement, which was more likely than not checked by someone else in the wording, which says, "While I face some pushback from the post I shared last week, most of the feedback I've heard echoes my feelings about the challenges facing USA Swimming today. And although some of you may not agree with my perception, I'm glad this discourse is forcing a bigger conversation. Now is the time to have it. First, I must be clear that I have the utmost respect for the USA swimmers that competed at World Championships. My criticism is in no way directed at them. I know how hard they worked and how honored they are to represent the US national team. My criticism is about the system, its leadership, and how it's failing. There have always been cracks in the system, but in the last 9 years, I've seen those cracks grow. In 2016, I had the honor to be a part of a U.S. swim team in Rio that was arguably the most successful in the sport's history, and we won 57% of the medals that we had the opportunity to win. Fast forward 8 years to Paris, where Team USA won only 44% of the medals they had the opportunity to win in the pool, the lowest percentage the sport had seen since the 1988 Olympics. I've asked myself, what's changed in our sport, and the answer is clear. This isn't on the athletes as they continue to do the best they can with what they've been given. This is on the leadership of USA Swimming. Poor leadership trickles down and can impact the organization at every level. I spent most of my life inside of a system that is supposed to support athletes. I gave it my everything, but I often felt that my voice went unheard. I was told to be grateful for the chance to compete and that it was more important to stay quiet than keep the peace. I spoke up earlier this year when I sent a letter to USA Swimming. It was also shared with the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee. It addressed many of my frustrations with the current state of the sport and was signed and supported by former Olympic medalists, world record holders, many of the coaching community, and current and previous staff members of USA Swimming. The letters seem to fall on deaf ears. No one really wants to talk about how broken USA Swimming has become. But if we don't talk about it, it won't get fixed. Money is a factor, but poor operational control and weak leadership are a cornerstone of the sport's problems. I watched too many teammates struggle to compete in a sport they love without the support they need. I've also seen the sport struggle to return its membership numbers to pre-pandemic levels, and I'm done pretending this system works just because it produces medals. Swimming, to me, was always about more than just medals. It's supposed to be an environment that builds champions in and out of the pool. As a dad to 4 young boys, it pains me to say that I'm not sure I want my sons to be a part of this sport at a competitive level. Yes, swimming has changed my life, but it also caused a lot of heartache, and its current state makes me both sad and angry. I want to see the sport flourish, and I want to be a part of the solution. I've always said I wanted to change the sport of swimming in the U.S., and that sentiment still holds true. I still care, and I'm not ready to give up. I don't have all the answers, but I know this. We need accountability, we need transparency, we need athlete voices at the center, not in the margins. We need systematic change. I'd like to encourage those of you who are in our sport and all of those who care about our sport's future to share your thoughts too. What do you think about the state of swimming in our country today? Has the sport continued to evolve? If not, what can be done to move the sport into the future? I'd love to see open and honest feedback from others. As an initial step forward, I would propose the following next steps to the USA Swimming Board of Directors and USA Swimming staff. Commission a 360-degree independent review of USA Swimming's Board of Directors and its organization as a whole. Provide complete transparency in this process. 2. Streamline athlete services and develop a proactive athlete-first way to support athletes in the sport. While USA Swimming and the USOPC provide some athlete resources, there needs to be a better way to work directly with athletes to implement what's available to them. 3. Focus on strengthening the grassroots level of the sport, reversing its pandemic membership decline while developing new ways to foster additional growth. Those are the 3 things he stated. And then I offer my service to be a resource in these proposed initial steps. I'm hopeful that the USA Swimming community will accept my offer. My door is open and there is work to be done. Sincerely, Michael Phelps. So, If you ask me, these points do not sound too difficult to acknowledge on that last slide, and maybe even try and implement some of this into USA Swimming just proposed ideas for the future. As Michael said, there are major issues that are currently facing USA Swimming's organization, which Michael has repeatedly asked in these letters he said and sent to USA Swimming to address, but only seems to have fallen on deaf ears within the org as a whole as well. We talk about how we want to grow the sport of swimming, but how can we do that exactly when those in charge refuse to make good decisions for everyone? Growth won't happen when those at the top refuse to make necessary changes or even acknowledge when there's clearly a problem in the sport. Those who are fueling the problem are also the ones who will refuse to see a solution where fixing the problem might threaten their status quo and positions of power. When membership numbers are down and still dropping, USA Swimming seems to seek out ways to make this bad situation inherently worse, and that does not reflect the org in any good light. It has been exactly 360 days, almost a full year, since the former USA Swimming CEO Tim Hinckley resigned from USA Swimming, and the org is still without a CEO as of now. As of this video being released, no official word has been put out yet, but there have been only rumors stating that someone has been chosen but not yet announced for the CEO position. Swimming is not in the best spot right now in the US. Again, membership numbers are down across the board. Dues have only gone up for clubs. Multiple swimmers on the US national team are struggling to stay afloat in the sport with very little support from the USA Swimming already, and multiple college teams across the country have been cutting teams and or cutting roster spots on their swim teams. And this involves not only swimming but other non-revenue sports, but that's not relevant to this specific conversation. In order to comply with those universities in Title IX. One of my opinions is that USA Swimming should have a role with the NCAA in some way to mitigate some of those issues swimming is facing with the changing landscape of the NCAA currently, but without a plan where USA Swimming is fully involved in the development process of their athletes, which will include being supported at the NCAA level and after the fact too, there are many more athletes that will continue to struggle in the sport of swimming every step along the way. There's too much of a split. There's no established communication specifically between the systems that are meant to help our athletes grow and develop. And if this continues, then swimming won't have a pipeline for developing swimmers into potential Olympians near the future. Those are my thoughts on the current issue with USA Swimming. I apologize for being late with this upload, but I had a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, and I just appreciate anyone who listens to this video, and here's what I have to say. I just wanted to give my own opinions and thoughts on this, and hopefully others will take heed to this. Let me know what your thoughts are on this situation with USA Swimming, and I'm going to actually be out with another video later involving a specific event. But yeah, that's it for now. See ya.